Alright, I'm back. It turned out I had a little more space on the card than I thought because I had switched to VGA mode as to not consume so much memory. And so I'll quit running out of time. So, where was I? How about this piece here, which was carved out of pine. Starts off with a skull on top, wearing a top hat. It's a very formal skull. And since it's almost Halloween, he's very appropriate. I don't know how scared you are, but I'm pretty scared. But not as scared as I might be for this guy here. This one's actually carved out of mahogany. It's not done yet. I've got a ways to go on it still, but hey, it's getting there. And it's looking cool. And I would just set him here, or you can't see him, but he's going to watch me to keep me straight. Alright, anyway, this one has its skull, as I said, and it's got a cage which, excuse me, is created by two halflings on corners with a ball inside of it and a ring. The other of those cages where it has a smaller cage inside that shares a common bar with the larger cage. Excuse me, man. And a ball inside of the larger cage as well as a loose ball in the smaller cage. And a section that's just a sculptural element of some sort. And the old trusty ball in a cage. I've carved a lot of balls in cages. Let's see. Here's a piece which is 2 skeleton keys on a ring. Now, this one started off. It has, let's see there, and the wood is Paduk, and for some reason that name gives me trouble so often, it's irritating. Paduk, it's that hard P sound, that frustrating. So sometimes I think I have to sit there and just Paduk, why can't you say it right? Paduk. Anyway, it's 2 skeleton keys on a ring, and I think it turned out really cool. And so I've got intentions to make more of these to sell in the future. Let's see, here's a piece carved out of mahogany. It's got a pair of telescoping rings, a half link, and the element I came up with when I did my very first trick carved piece back in 1991. I call it a pass through because it's like a figure 8, but it passes through itself. You see that? And let's see here. How about some more butternut? This one here starts off with some chain links and the spiral. Man, I have really come to enjoy putting spirals in things. They're easy and it just gives it a cool look, to me at least. You might think it's dumb, but you're wrong. But a spiral, as in the one I showed you on Cedar Peter, of course, this one has got a stretch to it, so it's not quite as linear, and it tapers as it goes down. Anyway, so have then a section that's got links on the ends and a horizontal ring, followed by a cage that's turned 1/8 turn so that the corner bars of the cage are actually on the flat sides as opposed to on the corners. Inside of it is a cylinder that's loose, and then the trusty ball and cage on the bottom. Balls and cages. How many balls and cages have I carved over the years? Oh my lord. So many of them. And how about this piece? This one's out of pine. Each end has a face on it. Now, yes, they aren't very good faces. I'm not really that good at carving faces, but I like doing them, and I like to add a face to a lot of my chains, just to add interest and variation. And then we have a horizontal ring here. Have that same half length and a half length that forms a cage. This time there is nothing in that cage, but it's the same idea as the cage on the top hat skull piece here. And then a spiral. Look at that. This time I left the wood inside of the spiral. Now this is a 2-barred spiral. Well, so what was that one? So never mind. 2-barred spiral with a rod inside of there. I don't know if you can see, but the rod does move. Then 2 half lengths to add some articulation. And another of those cages with the smaller cages inside, which share a common bar with the larger cage. This time there's 2 smaller cages in this one, and each of those has 2 balls, which indeed are loose. I don't know if you can see them moving, but trust me, they are loose. Some chain links, ball in a cage, a link where it's just connected with 1 bar at a corner, and the twisted link. Twisted links are interesting because they change the size. Now, well, an 1/8 turn twisted link does. If it's a 1/4 turn, then it'll go from corner to corner, twist around, back to corner, or face to face, twist to face. But when you have one like this, where it's corner to corner on one end and face to face on the other, you see what happens here. See, this link here is able to be wider than this link here by a good 1/3 larger or so. And that's because of this 1/8 twist link here. So it goes from corner to corner, then face to face. And you see how corner to corner on a square rod is longer than the face to face dimension. And from there, add more lengths and another set of telescoping rings back to the face. And this one here I have shown in another video that I put on YouTube. This is carved out of cocobolo, which is a type of rosewood, and this is a shape that in science and mathematics is known as a tesseract. Though in my carved version it's got a loose ball inside the inner cage. But a tesseract, also so known as a hypercube, is in theory it's a shape that is a 3-dimensional shadow of a 4-dimensional for spatial dimensional cube. And so, in theory, if this was an actual Tesseract or hypercube, what would happen is, as it rotates, as your angle of viewing it changes, what happens is that inner cube, which you see is each corner of that inner cube has a bar that grows in size and connects to the inside of the corners on the outer cube. And what had happened, if this was an actual 4D cube, what you would see as it rotates would be the inner cube would kind of increase in size, and the outer cube would decrease in size at the same time. So that inner cube kind of wraps around, opens up, and becomes that outer cube. All the while, that cube that started on the outside would shrink in size and fold itself so that it is now the inner cube engulfed within the outer cube, which is now, or the inner cube, which is now the outer cube. Whatever. Now, here's one that's not trick carved, but it happens to be in this box, so I'm going to show you. This guy I refer to as the King of Spades, only because on the back of his robe I've carved a coat of arms with the cards pip known as a spade. Though honestly, I think I may have come up with the name King of Spades first, then decided to add that. So I'm not sure which came first, honestly, now. But this is carved out of a wood called anagri, and there's the bottom of it. It does stand on its own. It's got a crown, the old king's crown, and a beard, a sideburns and mustache and stuff, and a robe. Now, you see the way the hands and the sleeves are done? That's a remake of a piece I carved probably 16 or 17 years ago, who was a wizard. And the wizard is robed, and that's the way I did the arms there, or the hands and the sleeves there, and I just thought it was cool and I wanted to do it again, so there it is. And I'm sure one day I'll show that set of characters that includes the wizard. Let's see here. Here's some that are not done here. This piece isn't done yet, but it's one I did as a part of a demonstration for the woodworking club that I'm involved in. But I'm in a wood carving club and a woodworking club, but I was asked by the woodworking club here in Lakeland to give a presentation. Hold on, can I do it? Can I do it? Padook. Yes. To do a presentation on the basics of trick carving. So this was one of my visual aid pieces. So it's large enough that I could show and explain in front of the crowd. But chain lengths, same old stuff. Ring there, more telescoping rings, and the start of a spiral. That's carved out of cedar. What about something, different variation on a theme here? This is one of my earlier whittlings from early 90s, I think. It's pine. It's coated in polyurethane. And it's got two cages, which are loose on the shaft, as well as rings, which are loose inside of those cages. This, as with all of my earlier pieces, is crude by my more modern standards, because back then I didn't take the time to really sand things after I was done. I carved them and I said I'm done, and I coated them. And as the years went by, I got to where the whole unsanded look, where you see all the knife marks and the cut marks and stuff, it just looks too crude. And I have since, about in the probably last 5 years or so, everything I have carved, I have taken the time afterwards to sand it. And sanding makes a lot of difference. It really makes your piece much more refined, and it just looks nicer. This same thing, which is all crude and jagged, has these hard corners here. You can see all the cuts and the knife mark and stuff. If I'd have taken time to sand this, which might have taken me hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, it would just look so much nicer. Just so much nicer. It wouldn't look like someone's first few carvings. It would look like the work of someone who's been doing it for years. And, you know, live and learn. And one more piece here, since we're probably running out of time on the card here. This one here, which I've made dozens of these over the years. This one is mahogany, though I've done them in all different kinds of wood. I've done cedar, I've done mahogany, I've done rosewood, I've done zebra wood, I don't know. Anyway, other woods. No, never mind. So what this is a ball in a cage, in a cage, in a cage. So there's three nested cages, which are each loose, and then inside of the center cage, it's got a ball that's also loose. Now, this is carved differently from that style of a ball in a cage, which this is done exclusively with a knife, like this one here, okay? But this type starts out as a cube, and what you do is you use Forstner bits to drill down to the depth of each cage, and that removes the hole, the round hole here, and that chunk of wood down to where the next cage starts. And then that next smaller hole is drilled, and so on. So you end up with a cube having stepped holes inside of it. And then from there, what you do is you start carving them loose with a knife, starting from the innermost parts, get that loose, work outward as you go. Or else, if you start carving from the outside and work in, you'll reach a point to where you have these parts that you can't hold still in order to cut them loose. So anyway, that's something that I might demonstrate in a future video. We'll see if there's any interest. But for now, I'm going to call it quits and say thank you, and I'll see you soon, and I'll show you a bunch more what I hope you will find to be interesting things. And till next time, thank you very much. Bye.